On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Obviously, lots going on with the war. A lot of people going in a lot of different directions. Personally, I think we need to give a little faith to the man that we worked so hard to get here. I know it seems like he's doing something that goes against everything we believe, but I actually don't think that's true either. I think it's the way it's mostly being spun, the way some of the questions are being framed, and the way a lot of creators right now are spinning things themselves. We've got a lot of people that are stepping out of the shadows, it seems, and I don't know, stepping away from Trump. And I feel like that's maybe not the best choice for all of us, especially in this time. We're going through a major transition right now, and I was thinking about it this morning. I'm like, you think about, we got Ukraine, right? We think of the Khazarian Mafia. That's where the deep state was heavily located, right? One of the other places that we thought the deep state was heavily located, well, Iran, for sure. I think we've thought Israel, too, at least as far as the leadership of the country, not the people, of course, and China, right? So we are seeing 2, 3, really, of the 4 components very heavily involved with what's going on right now. And there's many people saying, no war, and all of a sudden, everybody agrees we shouldn't have war, when that's coming from the deep state. The deep state doesn't want war because the deep state's getting their asses kicked. So this is, I think, what's kind of happening in the bigger picture. I think the way it's being presented, the way it's being sold is one thing. And a lot of people might say, well, why isn't Trump trying harder to come out and tell us what's going on? Maybe because Trump doesn't want to give his hands to the deep state, doesn't want to show his hand to the deep state. Maybe this still needs to be somewhat secretive. And maybe Trump was counting on all of us to figure it out. We'll see. I got a lot to talk about, a lot of great news, and I have a great music show going to be coming up, inspired by Jethro Tull. We got 3 of his songs in there. I mean, I don't know how many more I could have pulled, but I've got probably 3 biggest hits. And one of them, the song I'm starting with, has been in my freaking head all night long. And it's a great song, by the way. But all night long, I kept waking up with that song in my head. And whatever the case is, hopefully that stops tonight. If not, I'll probably have a second night going on of that here coming up soon. All said, we've got a lot going on here, and let's start right here. So this is interesting. CDC vaccine expert. She just resigned because she's pissed off that Kennedy changed the vaccine schedule without talking to her and the rest of the CDC. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. Hang on.
So there were a number of events that led to my resignation. There were 2 main ones. One was that on May 27th, RFK Jr. announced that the CDC recommendations for COVID vaccines were going to be changed. No one at CDC involved in vaccine policy was involved in that decision. He unilaterally announced a change to the immunization schedule on X without our involvement. And a change to the CDC recommendation schedule is important because if it is on the CDC's recommended immunization schedule, insurance covers it. So this is potentially denying access to COVID vaccines for people that may need them. Second of all, so when that happened, I considered resigning at that time. And there was some pushback from within CDC, and what was eventually changed on the schedule was not quite as bad as what was announced on X. But so I was sticking around then. We have this vaccine policy meeting where a COVID vote was supposed to occur next week, and I was scheduled to present at that meeting. So I thought I could stay, maybe do some good staying at CDC within this setting, even though this was unprecedented interference with the COVID vaccine policy process. However, last week when I heard that he had fired all 17 members of the ACIP committee, at that moment I knew I was done.
Yeah. Not only done because you felt you had to quit, but you're done because you were next to go anyways. Now, when they talk about the vaccine schedule, the CDC, first off, COVID's over. COVID ended 4 years ago. They've been pushing COVID vaccines, and gee whiz, we can't seem to get rid of it. We keep getting these strange variants that pop up after they keep pushing vaccines. It seems, as an option, as a theory, one of the ways to maybe stop having COVID is to stop injecting it into the world, right? So one's got to wonder about that. Secondly, at CDC, they were pretty much just like saying okay on anything. I mean, there was very little FDA testing when it came to the vaccine. They had to get rid of certain treatments so they could turn it into an emergency use. And then now they want to force children to get this shot every year. hence on the vaccine schedule. And she's like, oh, but it's so they can have it on the insurance payout. Look, if you want to go and get the vaccine, cool, go get it. I don't think it costs that much, but if you got to pay for it, you got to pay for it or pay your copay, whatever. Use your insurance. Well, insurance won't pay for it, but whatever. There's no COVID right now. COVID's pretty much a dead thing. They're trying to make it seem like a thing, but there's no COVID right now. So again, this is interesting to me how these things are playing out. A lot of fun here. Newsom's National Guard lawfare suit against Trump got thrown out unanimously. Unanimously. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled unanimously yesterday that President Trump has the authority to federalize California's National Guard, rejecting a lawsuit brought by Governor Gavin Newsom. The panel, which included a Biden appointee, again, it was unanimous, found the president has broad authority over the Guard under existing precedent. Newsom claims that Trump acted unlawfully by not consulting him was dismissed. The court said the president is not legally required to do so. This is going to set precedents for a lot of things. This is going to be fun. ICE agents now face 500% increase in assaults while trying to arrest illegal aliens. Certainly not cool. Got an example of a Texas man. He got arrested, thank God. But Texas man charged with allegedly planning to target officers with fireworks in the Los Angeles riot. This dude's a trip. So he went into Lordsburg, New Mexico on June 12th, where he allegedly purchased various fireworks and explosive devices. During the purchase, he reportedly asked for help in choosing fireworks that could be thrown directly at people to cause harm. Are you serious? He told store employees that he was prior Special Forces military and claimed he could make pipe bombs. Vandenberg further stated that he was traveling to Los Angeles, California for the riots with the intent to kill law enforcement officers or government officials. He told them that he had mortar explosives in his possession, and this is when he got caught, and further reiterated his plans to use them at an ongoing demonstration in Los Angeles in order to kill officers, according to prosecutors. This is the type of stuff that keeps happening. Now, the cost of restoring Los Angeles. This might blow your mind a little bit, certainly did me. The overtime epidemic's one. This cost to taxpayers is insane right now in this state. The city of Los Angeles is no stranger to excessive overtime pay, obviously. Open the Books reported last year that 20 city employees earned at least $300,000 in overtime pay in 2023. That's before even factoring in their base salaries. But overtime costs reached new heights in 2024, with the city spending a record $1.1 billion on extra hours. That's enough money to pay off the city's entire budget deficit in overtime alone. Just overtime. 5 people earned more than $400,000 salary we pay the president of the United States. 5 people earned more than that, which, by the way, Trump donates his. But we have an individual, overtime pay, $404,000. His total pay is $603,000. His overtime pay was 200% of his normal pay. Michael, and this was Nathan Khoury, I guess. Michael Noak, he is basically got 100% of his salary in overtime pay, $244,000. Werner Flores, $272,000, much the same, about 100%. Habib Munoz, he was $238,000. Once again, about 100% of his salary, or whatever. He's hourly if he's getting overtime, because if you're salary, you don't get overtime. That's how that works. Paul Hong, he's $217,000 of overtime, just under 100%. Yolanda Grutter, $265,000. She's over 100%. Armand Jose, $233,000. He's over 100%. Christian Urbina, $209,000. He's just under 100%. And Jay Mastic, I don't even know why he's on the list. He had $20,000 in overtime, which good on you, but his total pay was $428,000. So his is, at least in my mind, in the ballpark of reality. This 200% of your salary in overtime, something doesn't feel right here. And $1.1 billion when that could actually take care of the deficit. Yeah, obviously the city's being mismanaged. Good job, Karen Bass. Well done. Keep up the stellar work, you worthless pile of trash. New York City inks a $1 billion shelter contract with hotels. They're going to house 86,000 immigrants and homeless, despite claims the migrant crisis is easing. So taxpayers out there on the hook for, exactly $929.1 million. Let's just round that up to a bill. But the Hotel Association of New York City Foundation is getting this money, as the city population still includes a whopping 86,000 people, including homeless individuals and asylum seekers. You guys would be wise to get rid of any of the illegals that you could. It's only going to save you money. Those hotel units are going to be used by social service vendors to house emergency shelter clients who have entered the Department of Homeless Services shelter system. Fancy name. Let's see. They re-up the contracts. They take effect in January and runs through June 30th. It was awarded via negotiated acquisition. It's a method of procurement that is used when only a few vendors are available to provide the goods or services needed, when there is limited time available to procure necessary goods or services, or when a competitive procurement is otherwise not feasible. Basically, we got to do this quick. We need to figure out where to put these people. Trump screwed everything up when he clawed back that money, which I'm so grateful that he did, right? That did us a huge favor. Here's Tom Homan kind of talking about what he's planning on continuing to do.
Some of the president's supporters are very concerned right now that if he were to strike Iran, that it would take away from immigration priorities in the U.S. southern border. Do you share those concerns? What would you tell them?
It's out of my lane. We talk about Iran. I'm going to say we're enforcing immigration law every day. We got over 1,000 teams on the streets every day across this country. And right now we're concentrating on sanctuary cities because that's where the problem is. They knowingly release public safety threats, illegal aliens to the community every day. So that's why we're sending more resources to sanctuary cities. We don't have that problem like in the state of Florida where most of the county sheriffs accept our detainers and they give us the illegal alien when they're done with them. So we got to concentrate where we know they're being released to the street. So that's why we're sending more resources to sanctuary cities to take the public safety threats off the street.
So yes, more places. And it's funny. I mean, it's a catch-22, or I think it's super cool. But these sanctuary cities are the ones that obviously have the most numbers of these immigrants, right? And they're the ones that go out of their way to try to protect them, which is illegal. And so that's the place where they're going to focus, which means that the locations they're focusing on are the places that are going to get the most pissed off about it. Doesn't that seem awesome? I don't know. It does in my opinion. It seems like things are going to get a lot more hectic before they get better. Something interesting that we've come to find out, there's a number of Chinese signal jamming devices that are being smuggled into the United States, and it's just significantly increased over the past several years. This is posing a giant threat to police and emergency responders and everything along those lines. Apparently, the numbers are increasing to around 830% since 2021. We are not only being invaded, we're being attacked. We've literally got forces inside our country right now that, if we started making crap with China at this moment, would immediately activate. Trump's trying to do this carefully. He's trying to piss off certain groups at a time so we can weed out those groups one at a time. If we have to do all of them, it's kind of similar to fighting a multi-front war. It becomes significantly more difficult. And that's going to get us a lot closer to something like a martial law or something under those circumstances, which frankly I don't want. I know there's a lot of people that said Q posted that was going to happen, so they're all about it. I don't like it. I've never liked the idea of martial law. I think martial law is a failure. I think the second you start taking away Americans' freedoms, you're stepping into the wrong side of things. Now, if that has to happen because that's what's needed to quell the violence, totally, I get it. And that'll be necessary. It's much like the wars. You can't have a black and white opinion on everything. Sometimes you've got to be able to step outside of where you think things should be and accept the fact that maybe things are not quite what you were hoping and that we need to get in that direction. And actually, I got a story talking about Josh Hawley coming up where I'm actually going to give the dude some points. He's starting to, I'm softening up to him a little bit right now. Rand Paul, he's got some extra failure. We're going to be talking about that. So a lot of good stuff going on there. Want to remind you guys of the Root brands. I don't talk about them enough, but I should. Just a great set of products. I love the Root brands. The Clean Slate one is just great. It's a few drops on your tongue twice a day. This actually removes a whole slew of heavy metals, of all sorts of impurities in our body. It is a great way to kind of help clean the system out. It's phenomenal. Zero N, possibly one of my favorite products they make. It and Restore are both pretty dang good. But the Zero N gives great energy. It just does. It does have a little bit of caffeine, but it's got some other stuff in it too. It's just great. It helps you focus. Like when I've got to just sit here and do 2-3 hours of research for a show, the Zero In for some reason just literally helps me sit here, stay focused. I don't feel the need to get up and walk downstairs to grab or whatever. Like, I don't feel the need to be as fidgety. I'm actually able to just focus. So if you've got hours of a project you got to work on, if you've got hours where you just need to really just have your focus solidified in one direction, and sometimes maybe you get distracted easily, Zero In is probably something that's going to help you out tremendously. They do have nice little packaged sets here, like we got Restore and Clean Slate and Zero In. So you can get those things together, the Trinity pack they call it. Restore is just great. It supports bone health, supports healthy gut biome, healthy blood pressure, provides antioxidants and anti-inflammatory benefits. It's just a great all-around sort of helper. It's good for after workouts as well. Again, a lot of positive stuff going on. If you're somebody that's into like smoothies and stuff like that, this is definitely the company for you. The reason I say it that way is because they've got a number of products that don't actually come in any sort of capsule, but they actually just come as a powder, and you get a scoop in there. And so you scoop that into a smoothie or whatever, and blend it in with your favorite thing, and you can get an amazing amount of, collagen. In the case of giving back my youth, they've got collagen and colostrum. Colostrum is like when like a cow specifically, when it first starts nursing, that first bit of milk that's produced is extraordinarily high in nutrients. That's what colostrum is. So it's got that in there, and then it's also got the collagen, which is super important for your skin. Crush is another good one. It helps with the amino acids and everything under the sun in those regards. And then you've also got Relive Greens. This is a green thing. It's going to turn whatever you put it into green, but it's extremely awesome. It's got like all the fruits and vegetables you could possibly want, been smashed down, dried up. You throw that in your smoothie, and you've got one of the healthiest things just with those three things right there. You're going to be beyond healthy when it comes to working out, when it comes to just making sure you've got all the nutrients your body needs. So again, a lot of amazing products that they have. I love these guys. They even have some stuff like if you've been drinking too much, clean spirits, day after, day before, trying to clean yourself out from a lot of drinking. These are products you want to definitely consider. And again, they got peptide cleansers. They've got some really good skincare products, and they're fantastic. These peptide cleansers, the peptide serum, and this peptide moisturizer. These three are just incredible when it comes to giving your face that, face or any place, but usually the face, just that it takes some years off your face. It's pretty powerful. And they've also got this facelift one that's really, really good. Again, go to The Root Brands, ROOT, therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. That's therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Make those healthy choices, and you'll keep yourself healthier in the big picture. DHS is accusing Hollywood stars of using influence, social media to spread falsehoods about ICE raids. Now, I thought about this, and I'm wondering if this story's got like a couple directions they want to go. They're using one example as Eva Longoria. Don't exactly know who she is. I think there was a picture of her on the thing that I saw initially. Some blonde chick, I think. But she's been going to her Instagram posts about the ICE raids taking place in elementary schools and at graduation ceremonies. It's not actually true, but this is what she's sharing. Now, back in the day, 4 years ago, for example, this was us. This was us. They were writing stories about us and how we were spreading disinformation, misinformation, malinformation, right? So I think that's much the same. And I'm wondering if this is meant to trick a lot of us into being like, well, we got to shut these people down. And I disagree with that. No, let them talk. I don't give a shit. I mean, yeah, they're making it worse, for sure. They're definitely spinning people up, for sure. But it's also making them look bad, for sure. So this is part of the process, guys. We are in a separation. We are in a split. And we've got to let the people shine. We've got to let the light disinfect any of the BS that's floating around. Same would apply to any of the crap we say, I say, whatever. So again, I'm all about being fair, both sides, right? Like, if we can't shut down one side and then not the other, right? And I talk about, too, TikTok. I don't like the idea of them shutting down TikTok because then they can shut down Telegram, then they can shut down X, then they could, right? Like, it doesn't just stop at the one app that we all disagree with. No, it never stops right there. So, again, they're making a lot of news about it. Ohio GOP congressman said a deranged man showing him a Palestinian flag apparently ran him off the road. He was trying to drive to work. Some unhinged and deranged man decided to lay his horn and run him off the road. when he wouldn't get his attention. And then he showed his Palestinian flag and said something about death to Israel, death to him. I don't know. Miller, I'm assuming this actually happened. I don't know if he's just trying to get some press, if you will, but certainly not cool. Another Ohio rep, which a lot of strange stuff coming out of Ohio, right? You guys got to admit, that's one of the battleground states. I would put it up there with Florida, Texas, Ohio. I mean, these are very, very important states. California is kind of lumped in there because they desperately don't want people to realize how red California actually is. Soon we will find this out. Hundreds storm the ICE field office, attack feds with fireworks, blinding lasers. Another night. This was again last night. They were doing this Thursday night. A bunch of people got arrested. When I say bunch, let's see if we can get a specific number. They got a number of people. I want to say over a dozen, but they busted a bunch of people for doing these things. The two examples they gave, I think they arrested both of them. One of them was shining lasers. According to Portland Police Bureau, they arrest Edward Diaz, 22, detained for allegedly pointing a laser at officers. And then Mariana M. Rivera Loza, 19, arrested for trespassing in a restricted area. So yeah, a lot of attacks, a lot of fireworks being used, which are illegal as well. So we're seeing many things happening. U.S. resumes student visas, but now they've got stricter social media vetting. They're going to be checking out their social media, make sure that there's nothing weird on there, no death to America or free Palestine, free Palestine, whatever that stupid thing is they say. None of that. You got any of that nonsense on your social media, you're not coming here. You're not becoming a student here. You can suck it. I don't care, right? That's all that matters. You're not doing it. Ain't doing it. Get out your shake weight and start practicing, because that's all I think about. Well, I mean, that sounds weird. It's not all I think about. We got a Defense Department engineer. He gets 18-month sentence for taking classified records home. That bothers me on the first level. Then the second level, he's a dual citizen of Turkey and the United States. Again, Turkey's a questionable country, but they're our allies, a part of NATO. Definitely one of the allies, though, that could very easily slip away from us if we're not careful playing the game when it comes to the Arab world. And again, I think we've got to keep balance in order. There's a lot of different religions on this planet, and we need to try to figure out how to all play nicely. This has been one of the biggest problems this planet's ever had. We seem to have a very hard time not killing each other. I still don't understand that. It makes zero sense to me. Zero sense to me. I can't say I've never, I don't know. I can't say I've ever in my life wanted to kill anyone. I don't, even like in a moment of rage or anger, I'll kill you. I don't know, because it's stupid, right? Like, I've maybe wanted to physically accost people, sure. I mean, who hasn't wanted to do that? But death, man, that's real, like, ooh. Kind of reminds me of a funny joke, though. There's this guy. See if I can get this without screwing it up. He was talking about, tattoos. Someone was talking about, you want to get a tattoo? And he goes, oh, no. He goes, marriage and kids, I can handle all that, but tattoos are just so permanent. Anyway, let's see. Gokhan Gun, he's a dual citizen. He got busted. He's getting 18 months in jail, taking stuff and storing it at home. Let's say that's all he was doing with it. He was also fined $25,000. I'm assuming he didn't have anything too extreme. It doesn't seem like he got punished that hard. Maybe more of an example, like, you shouldn't be taking any classified stuff home, ever. You know better. You're not allowed, and anybody that thinks they can do that, you're wrong. That's, we're done there. Got a three Supreme Court things that came out. Nothing huge, but good nonetheless. Supreme Court sides with a vaping industry in rejecting the FDA venue challenge. So the FDA was trying to say, look, you can't open up your lawsuit in any venue you want, which is what the deep state or Democrats are famous for doing, right? They go to specific venues, have that court then block President Trump, right? So the FDA was trying to say, look, you can't go to the Fifth Circuit or anywhere other than probably D.C. or something like that. I don't know exactly what was the one place they were claiming was okay. It was probably D.C., which was never, ever friendly to anybody. Fifth Circuit's frequently friendly to other individuals that are industries and stuff like that. Yeah, so the Fifth Circuit is much better to industries and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why they don't like it when they go there, because the Fifth Circuit generally will side with them. So this was a pretty big victory for us. Supreme Court also revives an industry effort to axe California's clean car standards. This was also a 7-2 decision, which is interesting because there's 3 Democrats on this one and this one here. Where's the other one? There it is. I believe this was also 7-2. It's kind of interesting to me, right? So, of course, Jumanji and Sotomayor are the 2 that didn't, but not Kagan? Is that the other one? That's, I think it's Kagan. For some reason, she's on board. It's interesting. So yeah, this one here, Supreme Court revived the industry to axe California's standards. What this had to do with, and that's why I said these are kind of minor, this lawsuit had to do with the fact that the fuel producers were trying to bring this lawsuit, and California and the EPA basically said, you guys don't have standing to do it. The Supreme Court says, yes, they do. Doesn't mean that they're going to win the case, but they have standing to bring this, and it has to do with the fuel industry, or the fuel industry is basically saying, we're going to lose huge amounts of money on this. This is horrible for us. So, again, a lot of the lawsuits, like the labor unions trying to sue the Trump administration and successfully stopping them from doing what they're doing, much of the same in this case, so that's interesting. And Supreme Court revives a terror victim lawsuit against Palestinian groups. This one, I think, was unanimous. I think it was. Anywho, this one had to do with whether or not it's okay to sue Palestinians. Like if you're in another country and you get attacked by terrorism and you're an American, they're basically saying, yeah, you can sue the Palestinians. This doesn't take away their chance to argue this in court. You know, so they're like, yeah, go for it. You're allowed to do that. So, again, not necessarily huge, but steps in the right direction, I think, unquestionably. DNC is having some major issues right now, folks. They are, well, running out of money and running out of support, and there seems to be a bit of a donor revolt. People do not want to give more money. There's infighting happening, and again, heading into the midterms, this is definitely not good news for them. If we can keep working on elections and stuff like that, then we're actually going to make some huge progress. Trump's calling for a special prosecutor to investigate the 2020 elections. A lot of people speculating that, what's her face? Yeah, Sidney Powell would be the ideal person to do this. So we were asked to listen to this again just to remind us of why Sidney Powell would be the perfect special prosecutor, wouldn't she? Think about it for a second and then listen to this and you'll be like, oh yeah, we got to get this girl in there.
The whole media corporate government structure has been lying to us for at least 2 decades that I can count to think that we are blue when we are actually all red. I mean, I still think in 2020, Trump probably won every state except New York had we had an honest vote. And I think even this time, I would venture to guess his win was 6% greater than what they really were, because there was still a massive amount of fraud in the 2024 election. None of that's acceptable. Until we get paper ballots hand counted and real citizen voter ID, we're going to have a problem. And we've got 2 years to get that done.
And she was the winner of the Ugly Sweater Award, by the way. I'm just kidding. It's kind of a cute sweater. I don't know about the turtleneck. I'm not a big turtleneck fan. I was when I skied back when I was in high school. I think that was about the last time I wore a turtleneck. Didn't really have girlfriends giving me hickeys back then. I was a little nervous about that. Afraid my mom would find out or something. I was like, get off me, leech. Special prosecutor should start here. Yeah, this is where we should start looking when it comes to the election scandal. I hope Sidney Powell's paying attention to this too.
A water pipe has broken inside the arena. They had counted 86,000 absentee ballots. We don't know how many more they have yet to tabulate, but all the tabulation of those ballots has now stopped. We're told by election officials they may not finish tabulating those votes for a day or two. So depending how close the rest of the state is, we may not know the result of this critical battleground state for another day or two. That is because, again, a water pipe has broken in State Farm Arena. State Farm Arena is where they were counting the absentee ballots of Georgia's most populous county, and now that tabulation has stopped. Big development here.
Do you remember how they kept talking about that water pipe leak, and then in reality it was a really small little leak? It was like a toilet or something that was like leaking into the bathroom. Like it wasn't even bad. And then on top of that, we're well aware of the fact that once they shut it down, shut everybody out, then all of a sudden people started counting ballots, started pulling stuff out from underneath tables. And what if we do investigate any of that and come to find out that there were a bunch of duplicated ballots, possibly scanned multiple times, maybe even possibly by the 2 people that sued Rudy Giuliani? Wouldn't that be interesting if that were actually true? Again, don't know for sure. What we saw in the videos looked pretty bad. You know, they literally were hiding boxes and then pulled them out when nobody was there. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have people there watching you do it. So the fact that all those things happened is concerning. And again, I think when comments are made that are very specific, kind of like when I was talking to Mike Lindell, you know, when you call somebody, what was it? The tyrant was one of them, and then he said they're actually like the evilest person on the planet or something. I mean, I guess there's a point where you can maybe cross a line, but when you're just speaking about what you understand and what you see, you know, and I'm not necessarily passing judgment about the two ladies. I don't know anything about them other than they're related. And the manager was the daughter, and the mom was her employee, which is generally never accepted in any workplace, ever. But, you know, I mean, oh my. Yeah, just on the fringe, just Dan. Barry County Sheriff. This is interesting. He's trying to bring some attention to this. And thank you, Mike Flynn, for bringing this to our attention. General Flynn, sorry, sir. The Barry County Sheriff's Office gave concerns regarding the effort to repeal the Jones Act. As a result of the Jones Act, the Barry County Sheriff's Offices was able to obtain corroborative evidence of China's involvement with Dominion Voting Systems, Inc. and Dominion brand election equipment. Specifically, the Barry County Sheriff's Office obtained bills of lading detailing the supply chain sources out of China. I'm attaching a portion of the bills of lading to this letter. Without bills of lading, companies like Dominion Voting Systems will be able to continue to subvert United States government oversight and conceal its involvement with China. The Barry County Sheriff's Office stands ready to assist the Department of Justice Weaponization Working Group. Please feel free to contact me with any questions. So good stuff there. Rand Paul, this one's not necessarily pissing me off. I got another story of him. And he's the other Kentucky guy that I was forgetting about, right? So we got McConnell and this dude, Rand Paul. I used to love Rand Paul. I love his dad, Ron Paul. Love his dad. His dad's a pretty groovy guy. Again, I don't know if he'd probably piss me off too nowadays. Who knows? It's hard to say. Rand Paul, though, he's getting a bad rap, and someone that I don't even like is actually shafted him, and it made me like that person like extremely dislike. I like him just a teeny bit more. Yeah, I know. So much confusion going on right now, but hey, I'm telling you guys, just because I dislike somebody today doesn't mean it can't change. And just because I like somebody today doesn't mean it can't change. Rand Paul, though, gets behind a judicial nominee he previously blocked. Chad Meredith, I don't know, he blocked this guy back in the day. I think back when Trump, 2020, 2018, 2022, okay. Yeah, I guess that's when they were talking about bringing him in. He was against it. Now, all of a sudden, he seems for it. This Chad Meredith is going to serve, or hopefully serve, as the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Kentucky. That's why they're checking with Rand Paul. Apparently, he's going to let this guy flow through this time, and this is, I think Donald Trump is trying to push this guy through. So, yeah, there's that. Again, don't have a lot of good things to say about Rand Paul, but that's a step in the right direction. Randy, little Rand Corporation. Federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from tying transportation funding to states' cooperation with ICE, ruling that Secretary Duffy's policy lacks legal authority, is unconstitutional, too vague, and cannot be enforced. Oh no, a district court has disagreed with us, and it's Rhode Island, of course, so whatever. How is it that Rhode Island can do an injunction for the entire country? You can't. Whatever, it's doing it. It'll get appealed, like always. We know the game. Donald Trump trooped this out. Just approved storm damage money for the great state of Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas, and North Carolina, among the other states that were previously approved. My honor to do so. So yeah, we've had a lot of crazy states going on. Dude, if she's actually wore that dress, she is easily the hottest first lady we've ever had. Easily. She is smoking hot. And kind of almost, there's a lot of people that speculate about it. I'm not saying it's true, but I can see why. But a lot of people are like, she's from another planet. Could be. I don't know. It looks like she could be. She's gorgeous, though. Good God. And she's not even Asian. I know, folks. There's a bunch of you out there like, Dan, really? You feeling all right? Yeah, no, actually, I feel okay. Want to remind you guys, a couple things. First off, supplements. twc.health/OTF. That's TWC, the wellness company. TWC.health/OTF. Amazing supplement lines. You're interested in trying spike support, for example. You're looking for longevity. You're looking for healthy heart. You're looking for any of that stuff. They've got all sorts of supplement lines. They're actually reasonably priced, I think. I think it's actually one of the best priced supplement lines that I am aware of. of at least of my products. And they're incredible quality, by the way. The emergency kits, I am extraordinarily like high on, if you will. I love these things. It's probably the wrong choice of words, but I think this is awesome. Medical emergency kit. It's got like a bunch of like antibiotics and stuff like that. Again, these are legal. You get a prescription. There's doctors that work with all this stuff. The contagion kit is the one with the ivermectin, the HCQ. It's also got another antiviral that I'm drawing a blank on, and it's got the Z-Pack. It's got a upper respiratory, like the asthma medication. It's got like 5 vials of that and the infuser. It's just an incredible kit. And again, with all the crazy stuff going on and all the people trying to harm us, it's good to make sure you've got something up your sleeve in case things get weird, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. You want to have some cash in your drawer in case the banks close. You want to have some food in case the stores get looted or whatever. You want to make sure you've got some meds in case some weird viral thing starts floating through. You want to make sure you have the ability to care for yourself. Certainly Second Amendment stuff too. Let's not leave that out. And water, or the ability to filter water. Most important things out there, right? Make sure you've got your Second Amendment stuff, and of course the Second Amendment little gems that go with the Second Amendment stuff. You want to be able to take care of yourself. You want to be able to handle yourself off the grid if it gets dark for 10 days or 2 days or 12 days or 100 days, whatever. I don't know. We don't know. I think it's going to be better than the worst case scenario that we've been planning, but you need to be able to handle yourself. You need to be able to hang. You need to know who you can trust around you. Make sure you've got all the proper stuff to do that. The other big one right now is this. We've got two. We've got the longevity, and we've got the ivermectin, mebendazole. This is the parasite cleanse. This one's huge. The parasite is back in stock too. This is one we keep killing, by the way. We're rocking and rolling on this one. We've caught the attention of this company because of you guys. Parasites, if you look anything into parasites, and you probably should do a little research if you haven't, parasites are tied to a lot of the ailments we seem to have. This parasite cleanse is strong. It's 3-month supply. It's a 90-day cleanse. You literally do the whole 90 days. That's the plan, okay? You're going to do this one-time expense, and you're going to cleanse your body of the parasites. You've got 2 strong, and this is actually a higher amount, the higher milligrams, if you will, than like the normal ivermectin. 25 milligrams. That's a pretty strong dose. Again, doctors are behind this. Okay. Also, 250 milligrams of mebendazole, also a high dose. Okay. Normally, I think about 125. Normal ivermectin, I think around 15 or stronger. This is a powerful way. It's the gold standard of how you can remove the parasites. I've been doing my version of a parasite cleanse for a little over a month now. And the differences I've noticed, the positive effects I'm seeing, the way I'm feeling better and higher energy, even made better choices. Like it just finally felt better to not drink. And I'm still, like I had 3 beers on Wednesday night. That's typically one of the nights where I'll go to a specific place and have some beers. And that was it. Other than that, I didn't have anything last night. I will have some wine tonight. Going to be hanging out with the folks, so I'm going to have a glass of wine with them. But again, I'm not trying to stop drinking for good. What I'm trying to stop doing is, drinking as much as I was. I was drinking a lot. Enjoyed it. I mean, I loved it, but it wasn't good for me. So again, making better choices is also part of this, but undoing the damage that we've done to ourselves is the other part. This parasite cleanse is huge. Go to twc.health/OTF. That's twc.health/OTF. Again, healthy choices are going to make the biggest differences. Oh yeah, this longevity one. It's got this help youthful cells. It's got a couple interesting ingredients in it. Liposomal glutathione, nicotinamide ribonucleic. Now again, people have talked about how nicotine's good for you. That's nicotine. It's in there. And resveratrol, also all this stuff working together, helps repair your cells, helps keep you healthy and young. It's just a powerful product that is going to do that. This is Dr. Drew's little special thing, I think. Whatever the case is, great products. And twc.health/OTF. There we go. Russia is not seeking Ukraine's surrender. Russia basically just wants to be very specific. It's like, look, what's going on in Iran and what's going on in Ukraine are 2 very different things. Ukraine is and has been Russian people. It was part of the Russian Federation. They've never officially really separated from the Soviet Union or Russia, so they're technically still kind of under Russia. And he's like, look, we just want them to accept what's going on the ground, meaning Eastern Ukraine is now our territory. That's all. Just acknowledge that. We don't want the whole country. We don't want to take over the country. We don't even want to manage the country. We want you guys to have an election. We want you guys to get rid of Zelensky. We want you guys to finally get back into good standings with everybody. That's what we want. We're not trying to destroy you. We don't want you to surrender. No. We want you to accept what's up. We want you to accept the new facts of life. Right? You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have facts of life. The facts of life. For those of you that know that song, hopefully it's stuck in your head. Maybe. Palestinian activists break into a secure airfield. Is it secure if you can break into it? I mean, these guys not only broke in, but broke in and hung out for a while. Let's watch this video down here, and let's talk about how secure this secure airfield is out there in England and why these pro-Palestinian people are vandalizing, wow, spraying stuff in the engine. Look like they're spraying paint in the engine. I would assume they could spray it off, or if it's just paint, it's probably not going to hurt the engine. I don't know. Whatever the case is, this is weird. So two dudes on scooters broke in to a secure facility and jacked an airplane. Good job, England. Well done. Or Britain. Sorry. So yeah, this is just insanity, but whatever. I don't know if you guys knew this. 2,780-year-old Israelite tablet. Yeah, this thing popped out of the ground. They found it. Well, they finally translated it. Guess what it says? It says Persia is only weeks away from developing a nuclear weapon. I'm just kidding. I thought it was funny. There is how nuclear weapons started. And we know who's responsible for Iran's nuke program, the one that everyone says isn't happening. Mr. Pallets of Cash. Here's Trump talking about, Iran and what his plans are. Again, this is like from 3 days ago, but I keep getting little snippets of stuff that I haven't shared with you guys. I thought this was appropriate. So check this out.
Mr. President, on Iran, if regime change does happen there, if the regime falls, do you have a plan for what you think would happen?
I have a plan for everything, but we'll see what happens. Got a ways to go. They should have made the deal. I had a great deal for them. They should have made that deal. 60 days we talked about it, and in the end they decided not to do it, and now they wish they did it. I have ideas as to what to do, but I haven't made a final. I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war. Things change with war. It can go from one extreme to the other. War is very bad. We'll see what happens. I've been asked about it by everybody, but I haven't made a decision. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Too much devastation. And they'd use it. I believe they'd use it. Others won't use it, but I believe they'd use it. So that's it. It's very simple as far as I'm concerned. They can't have a nuclear weapon.
Whether they use it or whether they give it to somebody who will definitely use it, either way, it's not the direction we can go. I get it. You can't allow the terrorist organization on this planet to have one of the most brutal weapons ever. And again, Iran rejects U.S. talks after Trump gives a 2-week deadline to allow for negotiations. So they're like, all right, we're not going to negotiate with you at all. Okay, well, meanwhile, Israel continues to slam them, and we'll see. They took out a whole missile system. Right here is night vision footage of Iranian missile systems and radar installations. So Iran's making some headway on the launchers, unquestionably. I want to play a little of this, maybe 5-6 minutes. I don't know. I'll try to see if I can remember exactly where I was going to cut it. But Van Jones, talking about how the left needs to take this threat a little more seriously. But there was actually I don't know, I felt like there was a moment here where CNN was like literally broadcasting some like legitimate news. And I was, well, first off, I was shocked. And then second off, did I mention I was shocked? Yeah, I feel like that really covers it.
Look, I think this is an important moment because I don't think people on the left have thought seriously enough about what if Iran does get the bomb. That's a different world than most of us have thought about as progressives. In other words, Iran is when they say death to America, death to Israel, death to all the Jews, one of those should offend you. At least one should offend you. And their treatment of women and gays is horrific. And if they get a bomb, they are active. North Korea, they've got a bomb, but they kind of just sit around and fire stuff in the ocean and do weird stuff. Iran is actively destabilizing Africa, Boko Haram, etc. So I don't know what to do, but I would like to see progressives take more seriously the threat here of the bomb. I don't know if Trump should be dropping bunker busters, what he should be doing, but progressives should be taking this a lot more seriously.
But that is the decision that he faces. I mean, I think everybody, I think, is taking this seriously. The question is the attack going to be the right choice in this moment? And it seems that even Trump just now has decided right now it's not. He actually wants to get back to the negotiating table. I mean, he could have kept the meeting that was on the schedule for Sunday, but instead, here we are. He's being swayed, clearly, based on what we're talking about, but he also seems to be very reticent to go here.
Look, I think he's listening to a lot of different voices, and that's something that everyone should encourage. You want the president to make an educated decision before he makes it, and there's a lot that's come to the table in the last few hours. You've got the Strait of Hormuz, and you've got the fact that you've got 25% of the oil every day coming through there, 20% of natural gas. There are a lot of people saying, hey, there's a lot of boats there. You probably want to get them out in case they do try to close it. So that's number one. Number two, you also have to make sure that your American installations are safe and you're prepared there. So this gives us more time as well to make that decision. It gives more time for there to be a negotiation. I think that's also a good thing. But at the end of the day, the president, I think, has been very clear on one issue. You cannot have a nuclear Iran. He's been saying it over and over again for more than a decade. He's not wavering on that. And Kinzinger, I mean, some people are just playing politics here. I'm sorry. To say the guy's a coward or he's weak, he took out Soleimani, for goodness sakes. And I'm pretty sure guys like Kinzinger were saying, oh, he's going to start World War III. So, like, stop playing politics and look at the reality. The president is bringing guys like Bannon, who have a very different viewpoint than the president on this. Well, I don't think it's a bad thing.
I guess I don't, frankly, I don't agree that Bannon has a different viewpoint as Trump on this. Trump ran on what Bannon is reminding him of. I mean, at the end of the day, if anybody has changed, it's Trump in the last 6 months, because he ran on peace, on staying out of wars, on not starting a new war in the Middle East. And as far as I can tell, Bannon and others are trying to just remind him of that fact.
I completely disagree. First of all, I don't think we've ever had a president who's run on isolation platform and actually stayed isolationist. But I would remind you.
But you can't disagree that he ran on that platform.
Sure, but there,
maybe
by the way,
he changed, but he definitely ran on that platform.
I agree. But there is no, if there is no mission creep, and the goal is to take out nuclear facilities, then that is a justified strike that will not lead to ground troops, that will not lead to regime change, so long as there's no mission creep. And I want to make one other point here. A great thing that Israel did is they have taken out Iran's ability to produce weaponry in mass. We talk about Iran as the greatest global sponsor of terrorism. They fund proxies all over the world. 600 plus men and women of the United States military died in Iraq due to Iranian weaponry. Israel being able to take out that ability to make new weapons and spread them across the region is a huge win. I would just add one more point. If you look to Trump's first term, you will get lessons, as you just mentioned, in Soleimani. I would also remind you of eliminating ISIS. I would also remind you of the 500 dead Russian troops in Syria when Putin disobeyed the warnings of Trump and went ahead with some of his incursions. Trump makes smart decisions after much deliberation.
It's 10 years. It's 10 years of this doctrine. I mean, I go back to the 10-year doctrine of Donald Trump. He has said Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon. I don't know why anyone thinks that's changing. And I also think he's been very clear on this. he's not in favor of going into Iraq or Afghanistan the way that happened. He's saying, I'm not doing that in Iran. Like, everyone that acts like he's going to do that, it's absurd.
Sometimes the mission creep, just to be clear, sometimes the mission creep that you talk about is not your choice.
Right. I think this is where I wanted to cut it. Anyway, whether or not there was more good stuff to say there, I just didn't, CNN, I don't want to keep playing them. Israel's war on Iran is not about nuclear weapons, is what we're hearing. Now, again, there's two sides to this. Charlie Kirk, I'm going to get to him in a second, is saying, no, don't believe in this nonsense. But I think there's some truth, and I think Charlie Kirk actually kind of goes in the direction that I'm thinking. So when I first saw this, they're like, this is about regime change. Okay, kind of is. This is about giving Iran back to the people. Now, right now, the Ayatollah has total control. The guy's a nut job. The current president and the rest of the administration, they're all about locking down their people, what Sharia law and all that crazy stuff. It's not a good place. A lot of people left, back in the 70s and 80s because of the Ayatollah, because they hated how it was. So a regime change from that standpoint and giving freedom back to the people is awesome. Now, when you say regime change, most of us think about our standard color revolutions or overthrowing a government in favor of a government that likes our nation. Those have always been bad. I don't think there's any of those that have ever worked out well. I don't think it's that kind of regime change. And that's kind of what Charlie Kirk sort of talks about. He says, he talks about the other one, just literally overthrowing, or he goes, or does it mean ensuring that Khomeini survives because a resulting messy post-war fight for power would be worse? And he says, it seems the latter, Kirk says. There is a vast difference between a popular revolution and a foreign-imposed, abrupt, violent regime change. And so whether Khomeini stays, I don't know why I try to say his name properly. It's so weird. It's like when you have a Spanish word, and I do this all the time too. Like I'm like the newscaster that gets all crazy. All of a sudden I speak perfect Spanish the second there's a Spanish word. Anyway, whatever. It's stupid. But Khomeini, I don't know if he should be there or not. Dude's old. But again, we shouldn't be the ones to throw him out. That should be something that's really up to the Iranian people to decide. Again, one of the big concerns, and this is one of the things I think Trump was afraid of, is that they don't want this to become like Libya. And this is so sad. When I read, Libya used to be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. One of the most beautiful cities in the world. And that got destroyed. And what happened when Gaddafi famously surrendered his nuclear development program in 2003, only to become a victim of a U.S. NATO regime change campaign in 2011 that literally culminated into him being anally raped with a bayonet and then savagely beaten to death. Like, Gaddafi loved his country. He was a reasonably good man. And we effed him over. And then the dude got racked by a friggin' bayonet. It's just fucking people, man. People really frustrate me sometimes. Just stuff like that. Carolyn Levitt had a great comment she's making about Trump's stance, essentially, on the war and how everybody's like anti-war and people like Tucker Carlson. A great question was asked. I think her answer was fabulous. Check it out.
What's your message to everyday Trump supporters? Not the Tucker Carlsons or other big names, but everyday Trump supporters, grassroots who voted for President Trump to stop the wars, rejected this in the primary, going into another war, but voting against Nikki Haley, and they want to see non-U.S. involvement in this war. What's your message?
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts, and President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2011, President Trump said America's primary goal with Iran must be to destroy its nuclear ambitions. We cannot allow this radical regime to acquire a nuclear weapon that they will either use or hand off to terrorists. In 2015, the president said the problem is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel, our Middle Eastern allies, and the United States. And of course, the president has repeated that in his first term as as president and his second term as president as well. That's why he was adamantly opposed to the disastrous Iranian nuclear agreement that was implemented by President Obama. And it's why he has given great latitude and given a lot of effort to achieving a diplomatic solution. But he's been very clear. Iran went for 60 days when he gave them that 60-day warning without coming to the table. On day 61, Israel took action against Iran. And as I just told you from the president directly, he will make a decision within 2 weeks.
Absolutely. So we'll see again where that gets us in the big picture. GOP senators briefed on their plan to obliterate toxic green subsidies, and they dismantled the climate heist on the U.S. Treasury. Again, Mike Lee is saying, I was there. As always, Alex Epstein was full of deep and helpful insights. We are trying to get rid of these toxic subsidies. There's a bunch of them. They're talking about up to potentially $1 trillion in savings and getting the Senate to do what needs to be done and clawing back some of these crazy things they've got. And a lot of it's part of the Inflation Reduction Act and all that stuff. We've got, what is their cost is about $1.1 trillion on the grid destroying stuff, $642 billion on Senate finance. Most subsidies continue post-Trump admin. There's some big, beautiful bill, 2028 cutoffs for new solar wind stuff. That's about $527 billion, hopefully in savings. But again, a lot of money being spent. And the hope, and again, we talk about the economy and people who's going to raise taxes. If we can claw back a lot of this nonsense, we are going to fix the bigger problem. And we're going to save a crap ton of money. U.S. Attorney announces the largest ever $225 million cryptocurrency seizure. This is a pretty big deal. They seized some scam that was going on. They even got a head of a bank that put in like $40 million or some crazy amount of money, $47 million. I wanted to say that, but I figured I was wrong. $47 million invested into a fake crypto platform, and then the criminals just defrauded him and took that money. He literally gave away $47 million from his own people that were actually in the bank, right? Their own money. Another case, a Texas victim lost $7 million after being persuaded to invest in a platform that he realized was fraudulent when he tried to withdraw his funds. More than 430 individuals fell victim to this type of scam. So Judge Janine Pirro has made a huge difference when it comes to trying to get that taken care of. It's pretty awesome. Liquidity floodgates open. We got 3 central banks that unexpectedly cut rates under 24 hours, too. This is what Trump's been trying to get happen for us and continues to not happen, unfortunately. And also, we got negative interest rate is happening with Swiss National Bank. If you keep too much money in the Swiss National Bank, they actually take away your interest. You actually lose money, as one of the things they're doing right now, which is pretty insane. But they're also doing 0% interest. One of the things I was wondering, is there a way that Trump can borrow from these central banks since our central bank is worthless? Probably not. But I was thinking, hey, let's borrow from them and pay down our debt with that. And then we kind of accomplish what everybody's going for in the big picture, right? So who knows? Kind of an interesting thing. Now, stocks are down a little bit, nothing too extreme. Gold down a teeny bit, but still above that 33.50 mark, which is cool. Oil's down a tiny bit, very tiny bit. They're still expecting if they close off the Strait of Hormuz, this price of gold's going to go up a bunch. It seems that maybe is a little bit less of a fear at the second. We'll see how that continues to play out. Donald Trump truthed this out. Too late. Jerome Powell is costing our country hundreds of billions of dollars. He is truly one of the dumbest and most destructive people in government, and the Fed board is complicit. Europe has had 10 cuts. We have had none. We should be 2.5 points lower and save billions on all the Biden short-term debt. We have low inflation. Too late's an American disgrace. Yeah, he is. And this is true. And again, I truly believe, one, Trump is doing this because publicly, optically, it looks like he's fighting the Fed, right? And what it does is it forces Powell to not be able to make changes because then it looks like Trump is controlling the Fed, which he can't let happen either. He's supposed to be independent, even though it's a private organization. It's not part of the government. It's not federal. It's not actually a reserve. Let's not get into all that. But that is, I think, what's playing out. Again, folks, you know I don't trust the system. That's for sure. Donald Trump truthed this. Lowest inflation in 4 years. Kevin Hassett has said this. And that's what the Fed's worried about. Inflation. Worried about inflation with the tariffs. Well, Europe's not. Tariffs are all over the place in Europe. All over the place in Europe. They're not worried. They got their interest rates down to 0. Why is that? Why is it okay for them but not okay for us? Doesn't seem right. Nations are pulling gold from the United States as war looms. They want to get their gold back. They need it for their own financial institutions and probably don't want us hanging on to it. A lot of it has to do with the dollar weaponization that we've done over the years. Again, we've done a lot of horrible things throughout the world, and we need to stop doing that. And hopefully, I think we are. But yeah, we've got a debt time bomb. We just hit 37 trillion, I think, today or yesterday. War and inflation is escalating, and obviously systematic cracks. We are seeing things start to break. It's starting to happen. The fiat is starting to fall. We are seeing it. They're doing everything in their power to make it look like everything's groovy, but it's not. I want you guys to go to drslikesgold.com. If you've got a 401k or an IRA or a little bit of that extra fiat cash lying around, I highly recommend you consider diversifying it into precious metals. Now, from the standpoint of a 401k or an IRA, you're going to want to get into a precious metals IRA. That's the best way to go from that standpoint. You can do it tax-free, penalty-free. If you've got some fiat cash lying around, yeah, you'd probably want to swap it out for some gold or silver. I actually recommend silver as I think the most undervalued precious metals right now, and certainly the cheapest. So you're going to feel like you got more of it for the money that you've got available. Whatever the case is, 4 data points. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Their system is crashing. Their system is crumbling. Their system is breaking. Get out of it before they get out of you. You can do it tax-free, penalty-free. You're going to get up to 10% free silver for the face value of your 401k or your IRA. If you're just doing cash, there's not that option for you. I've also got that half-ounce silver Ronald Reagan coin that's a collectible. That's actually pretty cool, too. So, again, go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. Here's Josh Hawley. Basically, I don't know. I like the sound of him, is what I'm going to say right here. I'm coming back. I'm coming back towards Hawley. He was one of the ones I used to like. Coming back. Even Trump said he was a good guy yesterday. It's like, all right, I'll give him a try. We'll give him a try. See if it gets better.
Right. On Medicaid,
yes.
What are your thoughts on the Senate bill right now, and particularly the impact on rural hospitals?
Not good. It needs work, and right now, I mean, rural hospital. This is not good for rural hospitals, so it needs improvements.
Would you be okay with going back to the House freezing the provider tax? I know some other senators were telling me they would rather that.
Well, that would be better. That would
yeah.
be better. It would be less harmful to rural hospitals, yeah. And you could actually, the rural hospitals wrote a letter it was Friday, where they said they would take the House version. They proposed a few technical tweaks, so that's an easy lift. I would think that would be easy to do. That's what probably our leadership should have done.
Would you vote for the bill? Would you be a yes on it if they were to revert to that freeze instead of the reduction?
Yeah, I think that would be a lot better. Yeah, I mean, I think that would solve most of it. If they did also, the rural hospitals also identified their technical tweaks, but they're actually really important for implementation. But this isn't stuff that's hard to do. I think we did that. That'd probably be fine.
What about the concerns for these rural hospitals that it'll affect the services, not just for people on Medicaid, but also for everyone else?
Oh, yeah. Well, believe me. I mean, this is my state, half of my state. It has half of the hospitals in the state rural. I grew up in a town of 4,000 people. I've lived this. No, this is a problem. This is what I say. This bill needs work.
So again, the guy's stepping in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. I like it. I like where he's heading. So we'll see where we can get from that point. Hopefully we can make some differences. Again, a lot of these rural hospitals, I think they still got to figure out a way to do other stuff. I mean, we can't be just giving money away to people. We have to get rid of the waste and fraud. Has to. Energy Secretary was grilled by the Senate panel over funding clawbacks. There's just a lot in this story, if I remember correctly. So again, Senate's plan largely replicates the House's termination of tax credits for electric vehicles, heat pumps, energy-efficient domestic appliances, and rooftop solar, while eliminating or scaling back wind and solar subsidies expanded under the 2022's Inflation Reduction Act. This guy Wright, I don't know what his first name is. I want to say Steven, but that's not right because he's a funny comedian. Wright said among the first things he did after his January confirmation was ferret through projects set to receive IRA-authorized funding through the DOE's loan program office. He said, quote, "It's deeply concerning how many billions of dollars were rushed out the door without proper due diligence in the final days of the Biden administration." He said the DOE shoveled out more than $100 billion between Election Day and Trump's January 20th inauguration. He cited several projects that provided little justification for federal funding, including one slated to receive $2.5 million, but then sought and garnered $200 million without completing paperwork. In response to things like that, we created this program review process where we have a team of cross-functional people to evaluate every project. It says there's 500 such projects. We're going to evaluate every one of them in a professional manner, not a political manner, not a self-interested manner, but a business-like manner. Wright issued a case-by-case review policy on May 15th memorandum, and on May 30th announced termination of 24 awards granted by the Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations, clawing back $3.7 billion in allocations. The projects included funding for carbon capture and sequestration, as well as green energy decarbonization, with 16 awarded after President Trump's November 5th election. Wright said more than 150 reviewed projects remain in the pipeline, and those already begun will be funded. The department will review at least 20 a week. We're funding plenty of projects right now. When we evaluate them, plenty of projects will pass, he said. Other projects will say, hey, can you modify that to be more beneficial? Some will be modified, some will be ended. So, again, some people are concerned about this. This Cortez Mastro person said those 24 programs, they were already enacted. Congress approved them. So what legal authority did you have to come back and terminate those? He said, all the contracts, just like in business, have cancellation clauses, Wright said. We are in a dialogue with every one of those parties. Some projects can be fixed to make them more viable. So we'll see. There's going to be a fight, but obviously we are trying to move in the direction that I think most of us want. So, yeah, Hawley's challenging Democrats over the bipartisan RECA language, I guess, in his big, beautiful bill. What did the RECA had to do with the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act? This is something weird that he's basically telling he's trying to tell the people in Congress, the Democrats. He's like, look, here's the thing. You guys, you better let this one pass through, because otherwise we've got all these people that have been waiting to get this money. And if you're going to try to claw it back from here, it's going to look bad on you. So I think Hawley's trying to give them hey, come on, just let this get through. Don't try to do the birds rule on this particular one. We'll see if they do. They are fighting on a number of things, the birds rule for that matter. So we'll see. They're definitely pissed off. I think the parliamentarian said there was a few things that they've got to adjust and fix, hopefully. Josh Hawley's warning Senate leaders Medicaid crackdown won't fly in the House. And that's the other thing, too. All this stuff that they're trying to do in the Senate, they've got to be able to pass this in the House. They can't just be like total douches. So the House and the Senate have to figure out how to kind of work together. And we've got some moderates in the House that are not going to allow some of the crazy crap that the Senate's doing. And obviously the Senate's not real fond of some of the crazy crap that some of the more, maybe the moderates, I don't know, maybe the more progressives in the House, whatever the case is, probably the Freedom Caucus people. There's some places where they're not okay too. And then they wanted to put Doge stuff in there and they can't because it's a reconciliation. So again, there's a whole lot of pain to be pushed around here, that's for sure. So the Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough, whatever. Makes me want to say McDonald's. Golden Arches there, huh? She says there's a number of places where they've got to kind of claw back or fix what they've got going on in there. Provisions have been placed in funding cap for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. She said that would have cut $6.4 billion from the agency by reducing its maximum funding to 0% of the Federal Reserve's operating expense. The funding cut would have to eliminate the agency. She says the creation of the CFPB was one of the central reforms of the Dodd-Frank Act that the Democrats passed in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. So we obviously know it's something that needs to go away. They're not going to let them do it here. She also ruled against language cutting $1.4 billion in costs by reducing the pay of Federal Reserve staff, cutting $293 million by reducing the Office of Financial Research funding, and cutting $771 million by eliminating the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. Just a number of things that they are sticklers on and trying very hard to keep us from moving forward on. Also, these SALT cuts, or lack thereof, from the Senate are going to piss off the House. The House tried to get it up from $10,000 to $40,000, the maximum that you could write off, and the Senate wants to keep it at $10,000, which is weird. This affects the federal government's taxes more than the state. So why they're fighting this is kind of weird to me. And again, this just has to do with how much you can write off from the federal government. If you paid, $50,000 in taxes to the state, what the House is trying to propose is you would be able to write off 40,000 of that from your income for the federal taxes, right? So you could dip your overall income by 40 grand, and then your taxable income would be reduced significantly, right? Or the taxes required. They want to drop that down to 10,000, which would ultimately allow you to write off less, and you'd have to pay higher federal income taxes. So again, this one makes less sense to me, but I know the House is definitely pushing back hard on that one. Hopefully they continue to do so. White House floats a new funding trick, and the GOP lawmakers are, kind of bummed because they basically take funding away from Congress. And what it basically dials down to is if there's money still left over in the fiscal year for a particular thing they want to cut, then what they do is they hold on to that money until they get to the end of the fiscal year. If they get to the end of the fiscal year and haven't spent the money, then they can pull it back as money not spent. And so this is something they're thinking about doing. They call it a pocket rescission. Some are saying it's illegal. I don't know. I mean, the people saying that are like your Susan Collins up in Maine. Obviously, we don't care what she says, but this is what Mr. Russ Vought is telling us. So we'll see. It's an interesting idea. Trump's got plans. He's got plans for everything. We're definitely learning that. And the Department of Justice, major ATF cuts in the agency consolidation push. 2/3 of the ATF regulatory inspectors are going to be eliminated under the Trump administration's restructuring. This is going to save a crap ton of money. It's going to eliminate 541 industry operations investigators who oversee licensed gun and explosive dealers. The consolidation, projected to save about $468 million, includes $82 million from the 40% reduction in ATF's regulatory capacity and $354 million from cutting 470 additional positions through attrition. Essentially, attrition, for those who don't know, when somebody quits, you don't rehire them. That's kind of how that works. And finally, how Rand Paul got sidelined by a fellow Republican. Ha sucker. God, I used to like you, Rand. You're so disappointing. Get back where Holly is. Get back to where you belong, man. Get back on my good side, where you belong. Don't know what the hell's going on with you. But he's been fighting the big beautiful bill. And his desire to aggressively cut the administration's request for border security spending. That's what Rand Paul's fighting for. Wants to reduce the money we spend on border security, which is going to go towards deporting and all this other stuff. Rand Paul wants to get rid of that. So what happened? Senate Budget Chair Lindsey Graham said that he's taken over the lead negotiating with the White House, and he's got a different plan, and he wants to strengthen the border. And he says, when you're in charge of the actual committee, you don't have this ability to be able to kind of do what you're doing. That's when you're a rank and file person. Then you can be all like, I don't like this. I'm not going to vote for it. When you're in charge of the committee, you can't be like that. You've got to try to bring people together. You've got to try to get people on board. You've got to try to do more than what you're doing. So Lindsey Graham took it from him, which I think is pretty damn funny, actually. So again, a lot of things happening. World's changing quickly. And again, with the wars, we'll see. I think there's a lot of concern. There's also a lot of fear porn. There's a lot of people that are using this to be divisive, which I think all of this, honestly, I think is all part of the big picture. Everybody needs to see what's up. Everybody's kind of waking up in their own way, shape, and form. And I think we'll get through this one way or the other, but we are going to figure out who's who and which side people are on. Stay strong, folks. Shoulder to shoulder. Let's keep moving forward. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.